My name is Beverly DrBev Jackson. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a nationally certified counselor. I'm a certified Gestalt psychotherapist. I say these things to you not to give you what my letters or my initials are behind my name, but that you could remember a woman who more than 13 years ago on your show, by accident, I happened to be one of your audience members. By accident, I happened to get on camera once. Quite by happily accident, I got to be on camera 2 more times in your audience. And there was a moment there when you, during a commercial break, and you sat down right beside me, not in a chair, but right below me. And I thought, wow, what a humbling spirit. How spirit felt, so regular, so normal. I mean, I've loved you since the first day you came on. I saw your first show. But being in that moment, in Harpo's studio, looking down at you and you looking up at me and you asking me about my dreams. And I told you what I was doing then, but I told you how much more I wanted for the higher education students I was working with, how many of them had bust SATs and ACTs wide open. They were grade top A students, but when they got to the university, within a semester, 2 semesters, a year, they would crumble. I would send them to the psychology center and they would come back and it was like, that wasn't what I want them to do. Well, on your show that day, it happened to be about 300 women and their views on men, and you had a psychologist on the stage. I'll never forget that moment. Because it was in that moment when you looked up at me and I said, and you said, you could do what she's doing. And I popped for a moment. And immediately defense, ego came up. Me, do what she's doing? I'm too old. I'm in my late 30s. And you let me go on with that story of ego and defenses and resistance. And it's quietly, as a dolphin looking into the eyes of a human, you looked at me and you said, if not you, who? If not now, when? My life changed in that moment. I left your program. I went back to Jacksonville, Florida. I applied for every mental health counseling program I could. I was accepted. On my very second class that I took in that, I saw a film about Gestalt psychotherapy, and all of a sudden, your voice was there with me again. If not you, who? If not now, when? After class, I spoke with my professor, and he said, I like your enthusiasm about Gestalt, but Gestalt is for, the rich, the famous, the more educated. That might not be. But there was no dissuading me. I knew in my heart and in my soul, this is what my path is. This is what all my experiences have led me to. There have been many twists and turns, many ups and downs, from losing everything I have, financially, to being homeless for a bit and sleeping in a car, to being unemployed. So many experiences led me to here. But the grace of those experiences was that I got to work with every population, from at-risk children to domestic violence, to I even worked in an all-male maximum security prison. I wish you could read my diary on that one when I talked about that. Oprah, what do you mean sending me to an all-male prison? This wasn't what the dream was. But I wasn't in control of the dream. That was just my story. Really, Spirit had another dream for me, something bigger and far-reaching that I could have ever even imagined. I went to work in an all-male maximum prison. I did work in HIV and AIDS. I worked in many, many, many fields. And now, I'm here to tell you about my passion, the one that I really believe that you will feel. This was why you told me that. This was what you gave me, Oprah. Many paths I have went down, always an adventure, always meeting people that I could help, serve, be of service to use that Gestalt psychotherapy that I truly believed in, that by the time I got to work in substance abuse for 5 years, wasn't part of the dream, okay, girlfriend, substance abuse, I worked with the hardcore, people who were doing $500 a week in drugs. I wanted the worst of the worst. I developed a group. It was called a safety group for women. It was a co-occurring group with substance abuse as well as mental health disorders. That plummeted me. That group grew from 3 to many. When my supervisor said, it'd be good if you get 5, we had waiting lists. They came, they learned, they changed their lives. So many good stories I can tell. But those paths led me to where I am in this moment, in the here and now, where I have found a project that I've been working on, that I finally found something that was worthy. I felt worthy of you, to show you, I guess because I really wanted you to be proud of me. But deeper inside, Spirit had a larger thing for me. It wasn't about your being proud of me. It wasn't about my accomplishments. It wasn't about my degrees. It wasn't about those experiences. What this all led up to was a specialty in post-traumatic stress disorder. Who knew? All along the way, every client, PTSD. I've been working with veterans for most of my life. My father was a World War II veteran. I've been working with veterans, but it was something that I took as just natural, ordinary, not a big thing that I did. I gave to them freely, counseling their families, their children, whatever. I worked with Vietnam vets, and then something happened. I was working with a woman who wanted to work on her marriage. Her husband was in Afghanistan. He'd been gone away for quite a while. It was his second tour. The first day he was back into the States, with less than an hour of his plane dropping down, he was in my office. When I met that young man and I felt his energy, I'm like, what? His wife wants him to go grocery shopping, into the movies, into this. This man isn't even in his body. No one could even imagine what he'd seen, what he'd been through. PTSD. Now, I was thankful I had had all those experiences in learning PTSD, in being so passionate about it, my research, my being a geek about it until I was obsessive about it. It all made sense because I knew something that America didn't know, that when we send these young men and women over there to fight a war on terror, what an oxymoron, that they would come back to a world that they don't know. They would come back a different person. Her husband came back. It wasn't the husband she sent over there. Well, that led me, again, through many twists and turns, until I found a group. I met a man in a network meeting, by all things, and his name was Mike Halley. He had a Doberman pincher laid out beside him in the restaurant that we were in. And the dog was so obedient, so mild. What is this about? So when we went around, he said that he owned Halleys K9s for veterans. How interesting. I love veterans. I work with veterans on a clinical side. What could he be doing with veterans? Well, afterwards I found out that he had developed a method how to train animals, Doberman pinchers, for an invisible disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder. I was amazed. I couldn't believe it. So I had to be shown, of course. I went to his compound, and no, it wasn't in the best neighborhood, and no, it wasn't in the best environment, but you know what? What I saw was a man so passionate about what he was doing. A VA person himself, a 100% Vietnam vet, taking his Vietnam money, his VA check, to save people time, pain, and suffering, which is what I do. So I met this gentleman, Mike Halley, and he took me on a tour of his compound and what he was doing. It was just so amazing. There happened to be a veteran there, and he said to the veteran, look, here's a psychotherapist. She's not attached to the VA or anybody. She will treat and keep whatever you say confidential to you and her, not even us. But we can't do the clinical side. He's a Marine, quite hardcore, quite hardcore. And he says, I do dogs. She does people. And we begin to work together. That very first client, a young man from the Afghanistan war, who slept maybe, an hour or two at a time, even that. But before he could get to REM sleep, he would wake up. He would have night terrors. Night terrors are when a person is asleep, but they look like they're awake. And for him, he was back in Afghanistan. And this got so out of hand that it controlled his entire life. Imagine not being able to sleep. You can't function. Well, he would go to the VA and he would get medicine, he would do this, and then he did everything that they told him to do. Somehow he found his way to Halley. Within one 24-hour period, this young man not only slept for 5 hours. The other thing was that he was a driver in the Afghanistan war. And as a driver, he is taught to look here, to look there, to look everywhere. What if, to keep everyone safe. Well, in his life, now that he's back in the States, guess what? His what if continues. Their brain does not shut down when they get back here. Those thoughts, those memories, what they did, some of the things we will never know, continued in his brain. So what ifs continued. I did a session with him on that very next day. Now, as I say to my vets, we can work an hour, we can work 2 hours, we'll work as long as we want to until you feel complete. I worked with him that day for 6 hours. By the end of that day, us walking with his dog who keeps him safe, who kept him secure, with us talking, with us doing therapy, with us doing things so out of the box, it's what Dr. Bev's called what? Where's your net worth? Emotions are us. Yes. It gave him the strength and the courage to trust me. All I wanted, as I told him, was to save you time, pain, and suffering, and to keep you, your wife, and your little baby together as a family unit. Within 6 hours, no more what ifs. Wow. So we continued on with this program. Well, I had Mike Halley on my radio show, Blog Talk Radio. On Blog Talk. And then again, I moved to a radio station, V109 FM. What? Holla, Emotions R Us with Dr. Bev. I could say what I wanted. I could do what I wanted. I could bring people into the studio. So I wanted Mike to bring his dogs in it. I wanted the world to see this on YouTube, of course. Well, as Spirit would have it, we went through the whole entire show. Audio there, no video. My heart was broken. Oh, I was so disappointed. But then, as always, I remembered there are never any mistakes. There are never any errors. Things happen for a reason. Well, someone introduced me to a studio company, Mad Latino Studios. They gave me a gift that I'm now sharing with you. They came to the Halleys compound. They let me interview them there. They let the dogs be shown, their kennels, where the soldiers live, the Vietnam vets, the Iraqi war vets, the Afghanistan vets, the bus that they made out of a makeshift into a home for them while they were there. This studio company filmed everything. And you know what? They gave it to the vets. They gave it to us. They gave it to us because they saw what we were doing. They gave this out of their heart. As you will see in this video, this is what America is facing. We have more than 30,000 vets coming back to the United States, and they've been coming back for the last 3 months. There are more than 19 million soldiers, people attached to the military, reserve, army, the person who puts in the paperwork of those who've been killed or wounded. All of those people are going to be back here. And those memories are not going to leave them. What are we going to do? Here is a program that not only treats the veteran, their families, their children, their girlfriends, their wives, whether they're gay, straight, no matter what. If you served in the military, if you did something for us that I wasn't willing to do for myself, which is go to the military, then we're here to help you. Mad Latino Studio came in. They filmed this entire thing. Oprah, without them, I wouldn't be telling you this story. Check out the rest of this. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for giving me the greatest gift that anyone could ever give, and that's the gift of compassion. Thank you. DrBev from Emotions R Us psychotherapeutic radio show, and who I have with me now are many guests, and my guest here today is Pam Halley. She is the administrator boss of Halleys K9s for Veterans. Executive officer. Next to her, I have Byron. This is Byron's first time ever to the compound. He's never been here before. Byron, what's your impression of the compound?
First impression is a lot of dogs, a lot of organizations, organizational things going on around here, and looks to be pretty good.
Yeah. Are you a Vietnam vet?
Yes, Vietnam era vet.
Yes, Marine, Army.
Marines.
You're Marine. And right now, I noticed this is your first time here, and the dog that is next to you, Marley? Roxy is next to you, and I noticed that Roxy has been right next to you and right here on your, what is that, your right side on your leg. What's going on with that?
Well, with the information that was given to me that the dog knows when there's something wrong physically with a person that they're around, Roxy apparently picked up that I have a medical condition that I'm taking medication for on my right side in the crotch area.
And I want you to know on Emotions R Us that this is just as how real and how raw and how authentic this is. Next, I want you to meet the dog whisperer. This is Mike Halley. I call him the dog whisperer for vets. Mike Halley is the one who is the dream of this. This is his show. He built it from the ground up, and he pays for it with his VA check. I want everyone, and I'm gonna keep saying that, okay? We need some donations, we need some help here, all right? This is Mike Halley. Mike Halley, how are you?
Hi, I can't do it. I'm fine, Doc, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good, Mike. Thank you for having all of us in today.
You're welcome.
And I wanna know from you, Mike, I know that you're a Vietnam vet.
You know that.
Right, and I know that you're a Marine.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite, hard-ass Marine, that's what he is.
I'm a baby.
Yes, that's so incorrect. But nonetheless, Mike, Halleys
my wife.
K9s for vets there. How did you come up with this idea and why?
Well, I've had 5 Doberman pinchers of my own at other times in my life. And I've been doing dogs for over 50 years, 54 I think. And when I got this one that's sitting over there, Portia, all of a sudden somebody told me about, well, gee, I can make it into my service dog. Oh, really? So I started snooping around, and sure enough, I can, by law. So I did. Well, then it was a problem getting it certified here, and then a problem getting into VA, and I had to overcome those hurdles, and I've changed the whole VA around, and now they accept dogs almost with open arms. It's a little not quite there yet.
Right.
And all of a sudden people are asking, where in the world did I get that dog trained? She is so obedient, so wonderful. I tell her to meet people, she'll go over there and lick or whatever, you know, they want, and she's just a baby. But she will protect me. I've seen that out of her too. And so is one of the valets at the VA.
Now, what I want to understand, Mike, is, you know, I've been doing the clinical side. I've been doing the psychological side, counseling and that kind of thing. It is still amazing to me. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you've had like maybe 49, 50 soldiers come through here, veterans come through here, through your program where they stay for 2 weeks. If they want counseling, we have it here.
Yep.
I'm not connected to the VA, so I don't give out any paperwork. Me and the VA, we're on a quasi-friendly kind of terms. They stay out of my business, I stay out of theirs. I help their vets. I keep my paperwork to myself unless it's necessary. That is my code of honor with my Vietnam vets there. It's confidentiality.
I think right behind you is a Vietnam vet that got here yesterday. And just yesterday. And one of the first things we tell them is you're going to meet Dr. Bev, and she is not affiliated with the VA, the government, or nothing. And if you don't want to talk to her, don't.
Exactly.
And just say, no, I prefer just to keep whatever I got in my head. But if you do, you've had about, from what I've seen, at least about a 95% success rate of helping people and turning them around in here.
This is Danny. Danny, how long have you been at the compound?
I arrived here yesterday, about 7 o'clock, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock? Iraq? Iran?
I was in Afghanistan from 2008 to 2009.
2009. Yeah, so you've been in for 4 years now. And I'm sure you just had a wonderful time over there in theater. And yes, I'm being facetious.
Yeah, we were actually the first Marine Infantry unit to be sent over there before they did the big push. We had hardly any resources at our fingertips like they do now. We didn't have the best equipment over there either. They've gotten a lot better with that, but you know, we made do with what we had.
Yeah. Have you had any injuries over there?
I had a IED blast, which I had shrapnel to my knees. I had a forearm here and above my right eye, and I also had a couple spots of second-degree burns. And when I got back to the States, I found out that my back is actually permanently broken in the lower vertebra, and I also have TBI.
Okay, now TBI is like one of the things that I really work on with my vets because I know how it affects you. Just in short term, can you explain TBI?
TBI typically when you have a traumatic brain injury, such as your brain is thrown in one direction and then jerked back pretty much, and usually it causes some type of scarring. Typically from TBI, you'll start having headaches, memory, balance, a lot of different little things, but memory and balance is a couple of my main ones I have problems with, and headaches. Yeah, and I want to let my audience know, if you go to DrBevMentalHealth.com, you will see a video in one of my blogs of what a doctor talking about TBI and why we're so concerned about it, because it is an injury like PTSD. You don't see it. You can't look at Danny and see that, oh, he's got something going on in his brain. But with a TBI, it jerks your brain back and forth a gazillion times in less than a millisecond.
Split second.
Less than a millisecond. That is a trauma his brain has faced. We have over 30,000 young men and women coming back to this state, to the United States. We need help here. Now, this was your first day here. How did this, I see your dog. What's your dog's name?
Her name's Zada, and I interacted quickly with, about a minute with each dog. Then I sat down in a chair in the center of the kennel. Each dog was given, a couple minutes to come out and, do their thing, whether they came up to me or if they just ran around and did their own thing. And she actually came straight out right to me and sat down and just started wanting me to start petting her and everything.
Kissing ass.
Yeah. So in other words, what I'm hearing you say is the dog chose you. You didn't choose the dog.
Absolutely.
That's what happens at Halleys K9s for vets.
When I first came here, I didn't even, they told me that, hey, the dog chooses you. And I was like, how does the dog choose you, And sure enough, she came right out to me.
Now, it's been less than 2 hours that you've had this dog. And I'm looking at the bonding here already. How do you feel about that?
It's just something else, Never had a dog bond that quick and, be so close to you.
Yeah.
And I've had several dogs growing up, even as a kid, and, you just never think, you never think that something like this happens.
Yeah. Now, tell me this, having the dog, and being in this compound, how safe do you feel?
I feel very safe. They've got privacy fence, and it's a new atmosphere for me. So obviously it's a little difficult to go to sleep. Hearing all the different noises, not sure what's going on. What they are. It takes a little bit to figure it out. But I mean, as soon as I pulled up yesterday when I got here, you can start hearing all the dogs bark. So that they all know when something's going on around here. So they're very protective as well.
Yeah. I'm going to be very interested as a psychotherapist, what happens tonight for you as you sleep, if you have a night terror, and how the dog is going to react. We know that you do a lot of work here at the kennel, keeping the dogs fed, clean, working with, Mike and that kind of thing. What's your stories about the dogs meeting the soldiers, the veterans for the first time, and that greeting, that bonding?
Oh, it's amazing to watch. You need to see it pretty much yourself. First of all, you open up the door, you let the dogs out. Some of the dogs have some interest in them, some dogs play no interest, but then you get this odd one, maybe two dogs. They'll come up and it's just like, okay, you're my new dad. I'm going home with you. They'll come up, they'll sniff, they'll sit down right at their feet, and that's patting time. And that dog will stick to them like glue. They can walk around the outside of the kennel. They can do whatever they like. Yeah. And that dog, that's it. That's theirs. That's it. Now,
when you guys say, because this was real crazy for me the first time I came here and the first time I saw this, but when you say the dogs walk up to them and they sniff them and then that's how they learn them, what are you really telling me?
That's it. Well, basically they're picking them out. That's it.
Yeah. Where do they go to sniff?
Pretty much anywhere they want to go, but
but pretty much they go to the crotch area, don't they?
Yeah.
And why is that?
Place they can get moisture.
That's it. Pretty much anywhere where they can get a good scent from you.
Right. And they do that to bond, to know that person.
Yeah, they want to smell you to get your scent, basically, to know who you are. Just like a dog, when they meet another dog, they go up, the first thing they do is sniff each other around the face, they sniff each other's butts and stuff.
Exactly.
And that's them getting to know each other, so they're pretty much doing just like the dog world. They're getting to know you, they're sniffing their butt, and you get down there, they'll sniff and lick your face as well.
There you go. Well, I'm going to tell you the craziest thing in the beginning, when Mike Halley told me that he has the dogs take a shower with the veterans, I really thought he was pulling my leg. I had to come to you and talk to you about that.
Nope, that's as serious as can be.
Now, what would make Mike Halley want the dogs to shower with the veterans?
Well, everybody gets up in the morning, they put deodorant on, they put all their smells and stuff on, so right. When you go into a shower, that's your cleanest stage. All them smells are gone, the dog gets to smell you at their clean style, and then when you put all your smells and stuff on, they know what that smells like, they know what you smell like when you go to bed. So when you're nice and clean, they get that scent as well. They can get to sniff everywhere while they're in there. There's no clothes to bury your back, so.
And Pam, I really would like for you to share with my Emotions R Us audience some of just I call them miracles. I really call them miracles that you've seen happen on this compound with your veterans, with the dogs and their families. Any particular story comes to you?
Well, we had one guy, Army guy, Mike Caceres, and he brought his wife and his daughter, 18-month-old daughter, and his dog is Harley, Ashley Jaja's sister. And Harley realized that Mike was having a night terror, and the baby, the 18-month-old, was also sleeping in the bed. So Harley got up on the bed and got between Mike, or Kaz as we called him, and the baby, and kept pushing Kaz until he woke up, trying to, until he got out of that night terror.
Right, because what people don't understand, and again, I'm going to say it, we got more than 30,000 Afghanistan and Iraq war veterans coming back to this state. 99.99999% of them are going to have night terrors. They have done things, seen things that most of us humans, especially like me who's a psychotherapist, I've never seen any of that. We have them coming back here to the United States. We've got to take care of them. We have got to take care of them. The government can't do it all. A program like Halleys K9s for vets, we are doing something that is innovative, out of the box, and it works. And that story you just told about how that dog somehow understood that PTSD and that night terror. And when you're having a night terror, for those who don't understand this, the person who's having the night terror can look like they're awake. Their eyes might be open. They may be talking to you. They may be going to reach for a gun or a rifle. The other person will think that they're awake, but they're not. They're really asleep, and that's why we call it night terrors. Pam, I want to ask you another story. We had Kirby. We had a gentleman who came here with his own dog.
Paige.
So, Paige.
And Kirby's the dog.
And Kirby's the dog. Talk to me about that experience.
Well, Paige has had Kirby. Kirby's a Belgian Malinois. He was in the police department but didn't make the cut. And but he's a great service dog. Paige has had Kirby for about 2 years, and he's been a dog. But he's the one out of his 4 dogs that follows him everywhere, that sits down and lets him pets him and just messes with him. He's a Vietnam vet, and he's probably had 40 years of not sleeping, not sleeping much. A couple hours a night. He got here, and like the second night he was here, he said that Kirby got jumped up in bed with him, and he was sleeping throughout the night. It was the first time in 40 years that he'd slept more than 4 hours in a night.
And that is a miracle.
It is a miracle. I mean, even though Kirby's his own, was his dog, he took the shower, he did the bonding, he, started working out with him and just having him become that service dog. And it's incredible what that does, especially the shower.
Yeah. And the other part of that is on the clinical side of it, I had given him homework, and that was everything that his wife wanted to do. That was his homework to go out and do. Because what he had said to me in our session, and he's given me permission to share this, is that he had not been in a Walmart, a grocery store, a clothing store, nothing in 40 years. He's not been out. He does not go out. And he's married to this beautiful woman who loves him. He gives her money. She goes into the store. She has to buy the clothes, bring the clothes home, try it on in front of him. Then he drives her back, takes what he doesn't like or what she doesn't fit, and they have to do that. But what did he do for his homework?
Oh, my goodness. He went to Walmart. He went to the mall. He went to the Hard Rock Cafe, which is a casino, because he and his wife, after they left here, he was meeting her in Orlando, picking her up and taking her to the Hard Rock in Orlando. Well, we have a Hard Rock here, so let's go practice. We did. He got in there, and he's a little nervous, but he said, oh, this really isn't so bad. I got Kirby by my side. Everything's going to be perfect. And then we went to the movie theater, and the
guy hadn't been to the movies in how long?
I don't think he has it since he got back from Vietnam.
There you go. He told me 40 years.
Okay. He was a tunnel rat, so dark, small places are not his thing.
Yes.
So off we go to the movie theater. And he was a little apprehensive after the previews, how it gets a little dark for a few minutes, and then the movie comes on. He says, I'm all out of here. And I said, just chill out. Pet Paige. Let's see what happens. He went through the whole movie, enjoyed it immensely, and said, I'm going back.
I think that is a phenomenal story, because not only is it about man, veteran, dog, wife, but we're not only saving lives, we're saving families. That's a family reunited again. A man being able to do what he's not done for over 40 years with his wife and bring that love back. And I think that is phenomenal.
One thing I got to say, Doc, Bev, is we don't do anything that's high-tech and secret and all that stuff. Anybody can have a dog, take a shower with them, and probably get the same results. The biggest difference is I've lived with post-traumatic stress disorder since 1968. It happened to me, I believe, in 1965, 66. Operation Starlight was one of the worst things. And in 1967 to 68, my whole world started collapsing. While I was in the Marine Corps, I got terrible reports and all this other kind of stuff. Never got in trouble. They called it a something other day. I don't know. But anyway, no brig time, no nothing. But I wasn't in the Marine Corps then. And then I got out in 1968. And I have post-traumatic stress disorder, chronic and acute, according to the VA. So I live just what these guys are living.
Yeah.
And I've been there, done that. And there is no cure. But you know what? I know how to live with it.
Yes.
And that's what's important.
Yeah.
How to get along with your wife. That's number one.
Yes.
How to get along with the family. These guys and gals both don't know this world. Not in the United States anymore. They all know what Iraq is and Afghanistan and all that. So they got to change to this. And I'm good at that. I'm really good at that.
Well,
So
Mike,
walk in my shoes and you can do exactly what I'm doing to help vets.
well, I don't know many people that could walk in Mike's shoes because those are pretty big shoes to fill. But what I do know, he is the dog whisperer for veterans, and what he has done for 49, 50 veterans that have come through here is just miraculous. They walk in here broken. Some haven't slept in years. Some haven't been in a public place in 30 or 40 years. My Iraq and Afghanistan vets, you heard Pam say, about a gunner, the position that the guy held there. Well, Dr. Bev, I work with everybody. I work with Marines, Army, Navy, Air Force, that kind of thing. And what I do is I pay attention to what they tell me their job was. If their job was a gunner, they're going to have different symptomology from my guy who might have been a driver. My machine guy, they're going to have different symptomology. And that's why we work out of the box. It's not textbook. We have to work out of the box clinically in order to help them. Byron has had a few counseling sessions with me. He's a Vietnam veteran. He is diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, that's PTSD, and he has multiple health issues which we've talked about earlier. But I wanted to talk about what is it like to be in counseling with a Dr. Bev?
Well, first of all, I need to tell everybody that I'm not the easiest person to get along with. I'm not according to my wife, I'm not easy to live with, and my other family members. But dealing with Dr. Bev, I've met almost my match. I'm a pretty rough ogre, and she's a bitch, and that's putting it as plain as I can say it. But I love this woman because she's got me from where I was to present. I got a long way to go, but she's the one that can get me through it. She fights with me, not against me. So that's it.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you being very truthful, and I love the wonderful compliment that you gave me, and I appreciate that. And I want everyone to know that part of Byron's homework was that he came out. He came out of the house. And Byron right now is doing something that he normally would not do. And it looks probably simple to most people. He's sitting in a chair and he's around a group of people. This is a Vietnam veteran, folk. We don't do this. For him to walk in this compound, that is a big deal. For him to still be sitting here for this long with these many people is a huge deal. For him to talk on this camera and be truthful and authentic is even larger. So this is what this is about. PTSD is an unseen and invisible disability, but people, it is real and it is so true. And Byron, thank you so much for sharing that. Is there anything you'd like to add? If you had any of your other soldiers, what would you tell them about this place? Would you recommend us?
Absolutely. I mean, this is definitely a place that, I hope that more government people start paying attention to help them fund for, military members that need service dogs to help them through their daily life. I mean, these people are putting out their own money, helping us. The government should be helping them. I mean, if you're going to put money into us for getting us ready to go to battle, you need to put money into us when we get out, so that way we can go back to society as normal people, or at least as normal as we can.
At least as normal as we can. Again, at DrBevMentalHealth.com, you will see a blog that talks about that. It talks about my Afghanistan and my Iraq War veterans. When they leave the United States. They go to another world. When they come back to a world, as Mike Halley says, they don't know. They don't understand this. And people, we really need to get this so that we can help them. Compound. When you walk into this compound, you are completely safe. This is a safe zone. Right here is the dog whisperer for vet. This is Mike Halley. How long were you in the Marines?
8 years, 4 months, 2 days, and I didn't count hours and minutes.
All right then. And from being in Vietnam, and it's been some 20, 30 years since then, 40 years, I'm sure your health and how the government has treated you and the VA has just been a wonderful thing, hasn't it?
That's a hard question to answer like that.
I'd like for you to answer it truthfully.
VAs that are helpful and there's VAs that are jokes, okay? And fortunately for us, I've traveled all around the country in an RV because I want to see this land that I fought for. And the best VA that I've found is right here in Tampa Bay. So, I mean, it's not a perfect place, but we're not perfect either.
Yeah.
So.
And what I appreciate about Mike and being in Tampa Bay is that he has created, this is Halleys K9s for vets. There's only one place like this in the world. It was created by Mike Halley, and that's why we call it Halleys K9s for vets.
Yeah, but not
now, what do we
vet
do here?
Like a doctor, a vet. We're veterans.
We're veterans. Thank you, Mike, for correcting me on that. And you're veterans and you service. $20, we'll give it to you tomorrow. Put it on my tab. And so as veterans, do you allow Marines, Army, Navy? What do we do here? Any veteran.
If you're a veteran,
is allowed.
You're good as gold here. We were all a team. Yeah, we pick on each other. You know, there's Marine Corps' finest and all that. We pick on each other, but we couldn't get all our planes to someplace without the Navy.
There you go. There you go.
We clean it up. We take over places and we give it to the Army. You know, we do our thing. Everybody does their thing, and they do it well.
And right now what you're seeing is part of the complex. We're going to walk towards the Kindle.
Let's walk this way. If they're going to see part of the complex, we'll let them see it behind us. How's that? And that's we have some poodles over here, and the kennel goes down this way. This is the north end of it. This is the wash rack right here. This is Deuce. Belongs to my kennel master, Gavin. He brings him this dog. And Mojo, come. Up. This is Mojo. Hey, buddy. How are you? All of our dogs are really nice, and I don't have to watch. They're both great. All of them. We have kids coming in here with Dad and Gramps and trying to get him a dog, and they're always worried about, well, if they're going to bite the kids, stick your hand in there. Don't worry about it. But I gave these two dogs to Gavin. You'll meet him directly, I'm sure.
Yes.
That's our wash rack. That's all the bowls that I fed the dogs with this morning. They're getting washed out every day, twice. And this is who we work for. Marine Corps, Army.
Look at that.
United States Navy, Air Force. And then we repeat it because they can't get it in their head. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps. We have to drill it in.
We have to drill it in. The Marine Corps. Yes, definitely.
These are a couple new guys that just came in here in the last 2 weeks.
There you go.
Both are heartworm positive. So we've got to get them all cleaned up and the heartworms gone away.
And we're about to walk into its kennel. And what I want you to show everyone is how you get in this kennel. I mean, can anybody just walk in here?
No.
You can't.
There's probably about 20 dogs right now that come out here. I'm going to open up the door here and we're going to walk in. You ready?
We're ready now.
Okay.
We're walking in.
Yes.
Follow.
Yes. Come on in.
I have found this to be one of the safest and most calming places for my veterans, whether they're from Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan. This is safety. This is the kennel, and I'm going to turn it over to Mike so that you can get a walkthrough of what's happening here.
We've got different dogs. I prefer Doberman Pinschers. They're a pure working dog, not like a herder dog plus a working dog or whatever. They're just pure working dogs. This is not mine. This is Gavin's. He's a German Shepherd guy. But I do Doberman Pinschers. This is Marley. All the information on this dog is right here. Date of birth, name, female spayed, rescued on 6/6 of 2010. Rabies is due on 11/30, and she's got a chip in her. All the dogs are chipped when we let them go.
And the other thing that says to me, just as a dog owner myself, is how well they take care of these dogs, how close they work with their veterinarians before they let a dog go, before they let a dog come in. These dogs are thoroughly checked by a veterinarian that they use, and they make this guy is not only a dog whisperer. I mean, he knows dogs' health. I mean, he takes care of them. That's what I want you to see here. Let's get a quick look around. And Mike, if you would tell them about your exercise center over here.
Exercise? Well, she's not in the mood for it, but I bet I could get somebody to jump up on there for you. Let me go get Portia. You tell them about that.
What you have right here is, on this side, this is kennel number 1. We saw Marley. Marley is doing, his speed is 6 to 7 miles per hour. He is on there for 20 to 40 minutes, and he's 10 months old. Each one of the dogs are walked on the treadmill. The dogs need this. This is part of the training. Right now we have, all right. So we're going to get to see what this is like. What happens? Secures the dog to...
Hey! Stop it! This is an everyday thing for her. 5 miles an hour. She's already done it today, so I'm not going to keep her on here too long.
Look at that. Now, Mike, why do you use the treadmill in their training?
Well, the treadmill is not so much training as it is exercise, okay? And any dog, if you get the brain all rid of all the fluff and piss and vinegar, what I call it, and get the dog to focus on something, you can train a dog and do almost anything.
Yes.
But you've got to get rid of that piss and vinegar. So we either got to take every dog out running every day, for about 5 miles or 10 miles or whatever, or treadmill.
Treadmill.
Now, most of our veterans coming in have problems. I don't have a knee in my leg, okay? And
Mike really
don't have a leg. I really don't have
Mike really does not have a knee in his leg.
My wheelchair is right over there. I'm supposed to be in it 24/7. But anyways, the dog, it's good exercise for them. Yeah. Okay, every day.
Look at that. Look how focused she is on that.
She'll go run 10 miles an hour if I ask her to. That's all she needs. Good girl.
There you go. So this is the kennel where the dogs are. This is where they're exercised. The dogs, each dog, as you can see, documentation is kept on the dogs. This is a very well-run kennel. Okay, documentation is kept. We've got dogs right along this side here.
This is Gunny. He's been around. My wife's got to make a thing for him. This is Ziva. She's a little over a year old now. And one thing I pride on is anybody comes in here, they can put their hand in the kennel. Ziva just got placed this morning. This is Winston. We're just boarding him. Hey, Winston. But he's going to get expertise And these are 2 poodles that were sent to us from Washington State. They flew them down here. Both they can have pups or be shown. They're pedigreed and really come from really nice bloodlines. This is our wash rack here. I do all the washing of the bowls every day. We use this for trimming or bathing. It'll slide back and forth so you can move the dog around. Whatever you want to do. Drains out underneath. This is our super duper poopers catcher right here. It's full of all the manure you want. There's a commercial fan to keep the air blowing. We built all this out of my disability check. Gavin was very, very instrumental on the help.
And please understand, and that's another thing that I want people who are looking at this documentary to understand, is that we have over 30,000 Iraq and Afghanistan vets being let back out, and they're coming back to the United States. They are not prepared. They've been hit by TBIs, they have PTSD, they have night terrors, they have that. That's why I'm in the program. My part of the program is the clinical side, it's the counseling side. But this is why this is so primary, in that it comes out of, and he said he's paying for this out of his own check. Everything you see here is either been by donation or by the check that he gets from the VA. And I just want people to understand that we need help, we need donations. We have more people coming back that we can handle, and this is the only program of its type that is not only canine focused with the dog, but we also have the other side of it, which is the clinical and psychological side of it.
I don't want to see my veterans end up in jail, drug problems, that kind of thing. We don't want to see that. We've got help here at Halleys K9s for veterans. This is where it is. Where are we located, Pam?
Tampa, Florida, Halleys K9s for veterans.
Where can you find you on the internet?
www.k9s4veterans.org.